Hey everybody, it's your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete here, and welcome to another episode of my horror debate series that I collaborate with my good buddy Carlin, where we debate a wide array of topics in the horror genre. What you do is, if you are new here, you watch my video, and then you can go to Carlin's channel. I'll have a link in the description down below. Watch his video with the same title. And then if you'd like, you can go to the community tab on his page and vote for who you thought had the better argument. And there's also a tie option as well. You don't have to vote. This is all in good fun. Also, let us know in the comments down below what your stance on this topic is. We love hearing from you. I know he reads every comment. So do I. I reply to everybody. And I love talking about horror, so that's why we're all here. So this week we're discussing what horror movie has a deeply affecting story. Now, I talked to Carlin about this topic since I wanted to talk about one of my favorite movies that ever came out in the 90s. I love this film and hold it very near and dear to my heart. So my selection for what horror movie has a deeply affecting story is 1994's The Crow, starring the late, great Brandon Lee. And I feel The Crow has a very deeply affecting story for several reasons. First, I think the film explores themes of love, loss, and revenge, which are kind of universal and can resonate with many viewers. You know, we got our main protagonist, Eric Draven. He's tragically killed along with his fiancée, Shelley, and he returns from the dead to seek vengeance on those he holds responsible. You know, the journey of seeking justice and closure is really emotionally compelling for me, and it kind of resonated a lot. You know, even if you haven't experienced this type of trauma, and I hope nobody has, you know, we all have people who deeply care about somebody in our lives. So I believe you can understand Eric's motivation. I would 100% want to do what Eric did in this story, and it just kind of shows you how powerful love can be. You know, The Crow is also known for its dark and atmospheric tone, which I think really enhanced by the gothic visuals of even the soundtrack. The movie just looks absolutely beautiful. Almost the entire movie is shot at night, so you never really get out of the darkness, which I feel represents what Eric is going through. I mean, this aesthetic really creates like a haunting and immersive world that draws viewers into the story, and they kind of amplify that emotional impact. You know, when Eric tells Sarah, it can't rain all the time, man, that line just hits hard, you know, because Sarah pretty much represents this innocence to this, like, damaged environment. And we do have to talk about Brandon Lee. He delivers a powerful performance as Eric Draven. He really brings depth and complexity to this character. You know, he's a vengeful force of nature, but he's also got a very deeply wounded soul. You know, he's seeking vengeance while grappling with his own pain and memories, you know, and that creates a big emotional arc, I feel, that resonates. You know, throughout the film, he's reminded of the night that he and Shelley were killed. He has to relive those moments every time he takes out one of the gang members who did this to him and Shelley. And unfortunately, tragically, Brandon Lee died during the filming of The Crow, and I think that adds additional layer with that real life tragedy to this film that really contributes to how, you know, this movie is so deeply affecting to some viewers. Eric and Shelley were very much in love, and I guess if you can call it fairy tale love. You know, when you search your whole life to find that one person, that type of connection, you have someone. Every day you're with them, it just feels like a dream. Nothing else matters when you two are together. Like the world just kind of stops, and you live in the moment you have together, and that's the relationship I feel that Eric had with Shelley, and it was all taken from him. You know, the young couple was murdered on Devil's Night, the night before Halloween, and they were murdered because Top Dollar wanted some property. So all around it was just for greed. And the way that in which Shelley and Eric were murdered is just sickening. Shelley was essayed repeatedly in a very brutal manner. Eric forced to watch all this, and they just threw him out of the window, falling to his death. Those scenes are still tough to watch, and I think you as a viewer, you have to relive those moments when Eric does. It's very cathartic every time Eric kills one of Top Dollar's gang. He doesn't just kill them, he punishes them, and he does it in a specific order. Meanwhile, he also does save Sarah's drug-addicted mother. He uses his powers to draw the drugs from her body, telling her, your daughter's out there running the streets, waiting for her mother. Man, that just shows you the heart that Eric still has. He never lost his humanity. That really deep emotional level right there. I also love the connection that Eric has with Ernie Hudson's character, Sergeant Albrecht. You know, he still lives the trauma from the night of that murder 1 year ago. You know, when Eric touches the sergeant, he experiences all the horror Shelby had to live through the night that she passed away because Sergeant Albrecht never left her side that entire night. So thanks to Eric's powers, he was able to experience all that pain, which had to be very excruciating. But then in the end of the film, he does thank him for that because it helped save him. And at the final climax of the movie, Eric loses his healing powers. It doesn't stop him or even slow him down when he's fighting Top Dollar on top of that building. He even sacrifices his own self to try and help and save Sarah. And when Top Dollar is showboating, because evil does, you think he's got the whole world in his hands, Eric grabs him and makes him experience all that pain and suffering Shelby had to live through before she died. That entire night he experiences in a short moment. And then he falls off the building and dies, and it's so cathartic because it had really had a lot of weight to that death, especially when he's impaled on that structure and blood is just pouring out of the demon's mouth. The world of the Crow feels very bleak and oppressive, which mirrors Eric's internal state, and I think it really enhances the emotional weight of this story. You don't feel safe. You don't need to have lost a loved one like Eric did. This way this movie plays out, it makes it easy for the viewer to experience a small amount of the tragedy that befell Eric and Shelby, because you have to witness it as well. You're witnessing it multiple times throughout the film. Eric does get his revenge on all those who took everything from him. And he does get to reunite with Shelley, proving that true love really can conquer all. But there's also that lingering feeling of Sarah still having to grow up in this dark and dangerous world. And she does have Sergeant Albrecht, but other than that, she has her mother now, but that's always a lingering feeling I had, what's going to happen to Sarah. It's not just the beginning or the ending of this film that is so deeply impactful. It's the entire film. It grips you and never lets you go the entire time. I mean, if you ever cared about anybody deeply in this world, I think you can relate to Eric's thirst for vengeance. So overall, I think The Crow is very emotionally impactful because of its tragic narrative. You got complex characters, atmospheric presentation, and the real-life events surrounding its production with the unfortunate death of Brandon Lee. And it adds a lot of extra weight to this story about tragedy and murder. And he was unfortunately killed, accidentally on set. And I think it adds a lot of weight. If that didn't happen, and I wish it didn't, I don't think this movie still would have been fantastic. It would still have a lot of emotional impact. But unfortunately, because of real life circumstances, it added an extra weight to this already very emotionally impactful story. Thanks for watching. Now, please go to Carl's channel if you haven't done so already. Link in the description down below. Watch his video on the same subject. And if you'd like to, you can go to the community tab on his page and vote for who you thought had a better argument. Also, let us know in the comments below what you feel what horror movie has a deeply affecting story. What would you have picked? I'd love to read those comments. Thanks again, and I'll see you on Fridays for another episode of Nails in a Coffin, and in 2 weeks for another Carl and I debate topic where we're going to talk about another topic in the horror landscape. Till then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, be good to yourselves, and be good to each other. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete. Remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.